Hello and welcome to a short clip on building a very simple application with Rails. Now the first thing we're going to do is open up a new terminal shell, and let me just make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so what I'm simply going to do first off and foremost is we'll check out the version of Ruby we're running using Ruby space -v. I'm running Ruby version 1.8.7. And if I check out the Rails version, Rails space -v, I'm using Rails 3.2.8, it's the last release of Rails. Now what I want to do is I want to make a new directory, where I'm going to go mkdir test fun. So my new directory test fun, and I'm going to navigate inside of that new directory structure, test fun. Okay, so when we're inside of test fun, if I run an ls to list the contents of that new directory, we can see there's nothing there. So I'm simply going to run the Rails new command. So using the Rails keyword followed by space new, so keyword followed by the name of my new project. When I hit return, what happens here is it's going to generate lots of test scripts, it's going to generate lots of test files, and it's going to simply build up my new project inside of my new folder. So what's happening at the moment is it's going off to create my bundle, and it's going to jump off to the RubyGems server and make sure it pulls in all of the proper RubyGems that are required to run a Rails application. It's going to set them up on my machine so I can use them. We can see when we navigate this structure here that it's generating an awful lot of files. Okay, and one of the biggest challenges with people getting used to Rails development is that there are lots and lots of files that are generated automatically. There's lots of hierarchical structures to get used to, and we can see very simply that we have an awful lot of stuff that are being created. Okay. Now you can see my bundle is complete. So it says here my bundle is complete. I can use bundle show to see exactly what has been there. If I run an ls now on the terminal, I can see I have a new folder called my app. Navigating inside of my app, I can see that Rails has created a very significant hierarchical structure inside of here. Okay, now the first thing that we're going to do once we break inside this terminal here now, so we jump inside of our new project folder, using again the Rails keyword, we type in Rails space s, which is launching the WebRick server, and it launches it up on the local host running off port 3000. Okay, so I'm simply going to jump back here to Chrome, and if I type in localhost :3000, I can now see, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, that I'm now running my first Ruby on Rails application. Okay, so success. We have it there, and we can see here that we have communication flowing across between the server and the new application. So what I want to do is I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller, and we can leave that running up there. I'm going to open up another page, and we make this a little bit bigger. Okay, and what I want to do now is I want to first of all navigate inside of my project folder, and let me just and the project folder we were actually in was the folder test fun. Okay, so to navigate in there, cd space test fun, do an ls, I see that my app is there. So I'm back inside my application folder. Now one of the best things about Ruby on Rails, and certainly about Rails development, is that there's lots and lots of magical stuff inside of here. So what we're simply going to do is develop some very simple functionality, so some very simple CRUD functionality that we would normally associate with web development. And we're going to do it very, very fast. Okay, so we're going to go Rails, generate. I'm going to generate what's called a scaffold. User, so the name of my scaffold is going to be user. I'm going to have a name, which is a string, and also a description, which is going to be a string. Okay, and what's happening here is that Rails is after generating lots and lots of folders now for my new scaffold. And a scaffold simply builds up a model in our database, and it allows us to have what we would typically refer to as CRUD functionality in terms of web development. So it enables us to create new models, update some stuff, to delete some stuff, the typical functionality that's normally required within a web application. Okay. Once we generate this scaffold, it also generates some scripts for our database. These scripts are called migration files. Okay, and what we have to do is we need to use the keyword rake, which is shorthand for Ruby make. We use rake db migrate. Okay, and when we use the rake db migrate, this updates our tables associated with the new migration files that have been generated for the new model through the scaffold. Okay, so now we've updated our database, so let's go check it out. So if we go back to here and we simply reload the page, we can still see from the local host singing off port 3000, we're still looking at the base page. But now if we flow to our users, we can see what's after happening now is we have this new user interface here that has been created because of the scaffold that was generated. We can click on a new user. Keith Maycock, the scripture would say a teacher. Create a user. Now after creating this new user with a name of Keith Maycock and a description of teacher, we can go back now and we can see here that when we're listing the users, we can see that our information is actually being pulled back from the database. So we can add multiple users. By simply filling in the fields and creating the users. We can go through the normal functionality, so we can show that individual element. We can do an edit and do some updates. Okay, and we can also destroy those elements. So we have the typical functionality that we would associate with web development. So being able to create new entities, communicate this back through some database structure in the back end. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. And what we'll do is over the next series of a number of short clips, we'll take a new little element, and we'll build up from each of these individual things. Okay, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye bye.